Welcome to It's a Broker Thing podcast, brought to you by Bluestone Home Loans. Each episode will dive into market updates, practical insights, and real stories for brokers who want to stay ahead, build stronger relationships, and grow their business. Let's dive in. Welcome to It's a Broker Thing, brought to you by Bluestone Home Loans. I'm your host, Tony MacRae, and today we're joined again by Blake Buchanan, General Manager, SFG. Today's episode, we're going to look at how brokers can strengthen their relationship with lenders and turn that into really powerful success and a delivery mechanism for growth. Blake, it's fantastic to have you here. Episode 2, they said it'd never last.
Well, thanks for having me back, Tone. I was surprised to get the call again.
Before we jump directly into lender-broker partnerships, I thought I'd just explore a couple of things. You've clearly been in the industry now for some time, and you've built some great partnerships. That hasn't happened just by chance, and often it's how you sort of came in, things that important in your life that shape how you deliver those partnerships. So, how what's been important for you in driving partnerships moving forward?
Thanks, Tony. For me, partnerships, it's a super important thing how you come across to the people you're dealing with and what you're trying to achieve. Now, if you're trying to get something from somebody, you need to understand you just don't go and get it. It starts with nurture, relationship, understanding, negotiating, and then achieving what you need to achieve. And I guess that for me is a bit about all of my life. When I was super young, and cut me off if I'm getting too deep, but when I was super young, I moved out of home when I was 14, Tone. And I think what happened as a result of that shaped who I am today and how I build trust and relationships and results, which is the critical factor here. Why are we doing it? We're doing it for results. And so when I was out of home, I never wanted to be looked upon as the baddie that moved out of home because I was a delinquent or other. So I had to focus on relationships, focus on conversations, become articulate, try and read the room really, really well. But I always wanted to leave a lasting or good impression with people. I was somewhat cheeky. Still am, I think. But I think that those things, being hyper aware of my situation and wanting people to think good of me, helped shape the way I engage with people, negotiate, and get those results at the end.
You mentioned that you moved out of home at 14. It's often those early years experiences that do shape. And I recall you've shared, so I'll reciprocate. When I was about 13, we almost lost my father. Thankfully, we didn't. But he was in intensive care for quite some time with a brain aneurysm. And the thing that I remember from that is how community wrapped around us and supported the family. And for me, that has driven a sense of community and being able to, help and provide opportunity for people in the future, which is part of why I do what I do from being part of a lender. As we've spoken about off camera and off audio. There's lots of financial benefits to this, but we're actually in the really privileged position that we're able to provide huge opportunity, whether that's huge opportunity for our staff, huge opportunity for our customers, and then ultimately huge opportunity for our families. And I think getting that sense of community and that real partnership at a very early age for me has just driven, and it seems like it has for yourself.
Well, I see this in a number of people. Life adversities or life troubles usually makes you grow up a lot faster or understand things differently sooner, and creates you to act in a certain way. I think I never wanted sympathy, I wanted to be the big, tough bravado, I can do all this by myself. So I was really quite independent. But as you move through and, you meet your partner and you get married and have kids, you learn that perhaps maybe that wasn't the right way, but you can excuse it because of youth. The way I look at my history, though, is it certainly wasn't perfect. but it shaped who I am today. So would I change anything? Absolutely not.
And do you take those personal partnerships into the business? I always find, authenticity is really key. And so turning up being yourself is important. Do you feel the same way?
Yes, absolutely, Tony. And again, a little bit being vulnerable. I've been in this game since I was around 20 or so. I'm 44 years of age. And I spent a good chunk of the first part of it trying to appease and win everyone's favor and be the yes man. And it was in 2013, and I'd just written an article. And in those days, I'd write an article and it'd go off to the PR firm, and they'd delete 3/4 of it and make the words nicer. And I was starting to get a little bit annoyed with that, because the message that I wanted to give wasn't getting out there. It was all being sensitized. And so I got rid of the PR firm and I said, I'm publishing this article. And a staff member said to me, aren't you concerned? You're going to sort of annoy some people. And I said, well, it's the truth. So I'd rather say the truth and people can choose not to like the truth, rather than not tell the truth and then feel uncomfortable. So 2013 was a really big moment in my career where I thought, you know what? I'm going to speak truly about the way I feel about things with the research that I've done, the people around me. I'm not going to sensitize information. I don't see any benefit to that.
That must have been about the time that I met you, because I never saw the Blake that wanted to please people. I always saw the Blake that wanted to speak his mind and really not care if he annoyed, which is one of the reasons why I think you and I have had a great long-term relationship.
I say about trust and partnerships and respect and all these things. When you take a relationship, you take the whole person. Sometimes people have political view differences, but the whole person is still a great person. So we take the whole person. We take the good with the bad. I think we're losing that a little bit. If you don't align to me politically, we can't be friends anymore. And you say I kind of don't mind what other people think. I absolutely do. It's just that I know that I can't do anything about that. And I also know that I need to speak my truth. And so if you can't agree with me on a topic or a subject, I'm the type of guy that understands that and respects your opinion. I think relationships are stronger through disagreement. I think if you can have a disagreement and still be in business and friends or married the next day, it will be stronger because of that disagreement. You build respect for each other out of disagreements. And that's why I'm not afraid to usually speak my mind, because I know that that's the potential outcome. It also teaches people that debate's healthy.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I think debate and the art of having different opinions has been lost in some respect. People that have a different point of view get labels put against them at the moment. But and I can speak. You and I, we have had differences of opinion many times, but we respect each other's ability to be able to express that, and that's only strengthened the partnership that we've had in business and the friendship that we've had out of business.
Oh, absolutely. And I've got the utmost respect for you, Tony. You know that, and a number of people in this industry. I think the old adage, honey attracts the most flies, or these types of things. Sometimes you need to walk away from debate as well. But I think a really important lesson for people to learn, and I was fortunate enough to learn it a long time ago, is to learn to lose. The ability to be able to learn that you're not always going to win. I'm going to lose. How am I going to deal with it? Even when I'm in the right, I lose sometimes, and that's okay. I need to deal with that, not just chuck my toys out of the cot and it's the end. I think that's a really important message that does help sustain great business relationships.
So that sort of brings us to the lender-broker, lender-aggregator relationships, which, at times, has been a little confrontational and disagreements. But, I think ultimately there's strong respect between the parties. But from your perspective, what does a great lender-broker relationship look like in a practical sense?
Oh, look, it's a dance, Tony. I think both have to be involved. I think we talk about the elements that makes a good BDM. I'd narrow it down to two things: being present and being responsive, answering your calls or calling back in a timely fashion, answering your emails or responding in a timely fashion, and going to your meetings, showing up, just being present. I think they're critical factors for a relationship. I think, and I'll tell you a story. There's a broker, I won't say his name, on the Gold Coast, and God, the team used to fear when he called 13 or so years ago because he'd just yell at you. He'd just yell at you. And most people stopped answering his calls. They didn't want to talk to this guy, and you'd get complaints about him left, right, and center. And I just took a different angle with him. When he called the next time, I said, righto, give me everything that you've got. Yell at me for as long as what you'd like. And when he finished yelling, I was writing down the topics he was yelling about. And I said, right, 1 and 3 I can help with. 2, 4, 5, mate, that's on you. I'm really sorry. But how's the family? How's life up there on the Gold Coast? And just by not avoiding his calls, not being confrontational, being transparent, clear, and not getting the emotions get to me, I was able to create a really good relationship with this guy that I still talk to today. So I think BDMs would be well placed to understand who they're dealing with and not get their feelings hurt, because people are allowed to have bad days. They're allowed to have bad days. We don't encourage or condone that behavior, but they're allowed to have bad days. Equally, on the broker side, respect. Not everything's going to go their way. Learn to lose, but be respectful of your BDM relationship. And if you feel they're letting you down, that's okay. Not everyone's perfect at their jobs. And as I said, people can have bad days. Just escalate it to your aggregator, who might be able to smooth over that relationship. Some brokers, if they stopped dealing with a lender that they had a blue with, they wouldn't have any lenders to deal with, So,
you mentioned aggregator because aggregator plays a really important part there, because the aggregator, in my experience, when the broker's got a customer in front of them, and for the customer, it's the single most important transaction and the single most important thing in their world, and therefore the broker feels the emotion that's involved in that. But the aggregator is able to take the emotion and just deal with the issue as opposed to the emotion that's in there.
Yeah, it's our role to educate as well. And in that typical scenario where emotions are running hot, calls have stopped being answered because they're being rude to each other, and we get involved, we're really grounding. It's about, hey, listen, we understand where you're at the moment. There's 3 sides to every story. So what I need you to do is I just need you to bullet point what's gone on so we can address it with them. And then we try and be quite respectful. We also get the lender's side, and then we try and find that middle fair ground. Sometimes the lenders let us down, so we get the broker result, but sometimes the broker's not done the right thing as well, which becomes an opportunity for us to educate the broker. If I was told this, did you get it in writing? Well, what are we going to do here? So it's an opportunity to educate the broker around the standards they should adhere to, particularly ones that are slightly outside of the box, because we want smooth relationships. And this is where we see the best brokers and the best BDMs win. The best BDMs win because they know that everybody's different and they've got to be a chameleon, and that they shouldn't take things personally because emotions can be high. On the broker side, they also need to understand that these lender representatives, they're their business partners in that transaction. They're sitting in the chair with them, always wanting to get the right thing for the customer as well. As I said, sometimes we have bad days, and that's when the aggregators get involved. But I think fundamentally everyone wants to go the right way, so we just need to learn the behaviors that will get us there.
I think that's a really important point, that sometimes things do go wrong, and they go wrong on all sides of the equation occasionally. But I don't know anyone that turns up each day and say, I'm going to screw this up deliberately. And I know I've been lucky throughout my career that all the people I've worked with or for have really had that focus of delivery and doing the right thing for customers. Ultimately front of mind.
I think last time we spoke about curiosity, and if I look around the leaders in the industry, they've all been curious, asked a lot of questions. But to be curious means to understand what you're dealing with at all different levels. And you'll resonate with this, but out of the old days and the old guys, and girls, there's only probably a handful left that have stood the test of time, and great people. And I reckon they've stood the test of time and done such a wonderful job, such as yourself, because you engage at the front line. You'll talk to a broker, you'll talk to a broker's customer if you need to, if it's gone that far. You'll talk to me, you'll talk to state managers, so that you get an understanding of whatever level you know how to service. And that's what makes you a good leader, Tony, because then you can go and impart what your experience is with your team and with the brokers you engage.
So I'm feeling like that's a bit of a backhanded compliment because you're saying some nice things, but actually fundamentally you're saying you're old, you're persistent, and you just hung around a long time.
No, not at all. I still recall one of the first interactions I had with you when I was really quite junior, and I was bashing my head against a wall trying to get a response. And I came across your number, and I wasn't meant to call you. You're too senior for me. But I gave you a buzz, and not only did you answer, but you listened and you helped. And I think that's what great leadership is, getting your hands dirty in a time of need.
All right, let's move away from me and talk about some of the key elements that actually build trust between brokers and lenders, and maybe you've opened the door a little bit to that already.
Yeah, definitely. I think brokers' evolution over. Don't forget, we've only been running around for 35 years, so we're evolving. We're getting way better. I think it starts from respect. Many years ago, a broker would put in an application with no supporting information, want a pre-approval, and the bank's pulling their hair out. There's no notes. What are we doing here? So on and so forth. And so it creates a little bit of, between broker and lender. What lenders are looking for is good quality deals. They want the broker to do the research and compile something nicely so that it comes through and it's not wasting everyone's time, money, phone calls, escalations, and getting cross and cranky at each other. So I think brokers that do a good job fundamentally have better relationships because there's respect there immediately. So do your homework, brokers. If you want great relationships, give a great package over, do the research, do the work, get it over to the lender. I think that's a really great starting point. I think to always remember that they're business partners. This is lenders on our panel. They're not lenders. They're our business partners. They help us facilitate the great work that we do and the result that our brokers get for their consumers. So if you always remember that, always have respect. You might not like somebody personally. That's okay. It's a business relationship. The great thing about life is you can be friends personally and in business, or you can just be in business and you don't have to be friends personally. But what should always remain is respect, and respect is two ways. And I would urge everybody to think on that before you want to get cross or cranky at somebody.
Yeah. We spoke in the earlier podcast about transparency, and you talked about brokers packaging up deals. Now, Bluestone's a solution-based lender, so rarely are our deals black and white, vanilla, straightforward. And it's never more important, that transparency. And I say to brokers all the time, in your notes, give me the good, bad, and the ugly. Don't paint me the perfect picture. If there's a problem here, tell me the problem and tell me the mitigant or what's been put in place. And there's normally a pathway and a solution if that's presented to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys are nailing it in your products your new products especially, and your policies as well. And we like that. It's very hard in our world these days to find something that just fits in the box all the time. Vanilla deals 20 years ago were all over the place. It's nearly rare to find.
Yeah.
They're sort of 40% of your market is vanilla these days, which is way less than what it used to be. And so good communication transparency is unbelievably important to ensuring that, and don't forget, the relationship with the broker doesn't just extend to the BDM, it goes to the credit manager that's assessing that deal. So make great notes, present it in its best format, but be transparent about everything in the deal, all of those hairs on it that might, hold it up. Just talk about them and the mitigates as to why. Don't try and hide stuff because it'll come out, particularly with open banking on our doorstep. So just be transparent. And again, people think about trust and relationships as physical things in person that we have to do. Don't forget, when I give a good application that's researched, documented, that you look at and go, how great is this? It makes my job easier. That builds relationships, and you've never even met the person.
Yeah, it's amazing how some of the really complex deals, and a broker takes the time to map it out and explain the piece, can be assessed quickly, result answer given far, far quicker than that vanilla deal that wasn't necessarily packaged up. And, I had an example just recently where, we had a deal with 7 properties, lots of trusts involved. The broker did an immaculate job of just laying it out, and we were able to give an answer in 20 minutes.
Point in case. Technology is also making that easier as well. So we've just launched AI, and AI will read the whole file application, your notes, voice to text, and it will create your submission for you, covering everything. So we can even create these efficiencies and use technology to give better packages, which will build those better relationships. Do you know what I'm hearing from the audience? I just heard, somebody say, "Oh, it would be great if they read the notes." Don't think like that. You've got to be positive. Just point them back to the notes, gently and nicely.
Yeah, it is common feedback that I got. I often get, and so I think my advice is similar to yours. Point it out, direct where it actually is. Sort of coming from that, great lender broker relationships can deliver great outcomes for clients, and that's ultimately what we all want to do. But what are some of the challenges that get in the way of building those relationships?
Well, I think that some of the challenges might be time. We're all time poor. I think, like any type of relationship and business partnership, you need to build on it and you need to maintain it. So as you would with a referrer, you need to make sure you're engaging them. I think some of the things that can damage those relationships is just one-sided expectations all of the time from the broker side. Does that mean that people are less likely to want to help? Probably. Does that mean possibly they don't answer their call or call you back within half an hour? It might be an hour, possibly. So you just have to continually work on relationships, and that's at all levels, whether it's your clients, whether it's the lender relationships, whether it's the credit officer sitting behind the BDM at the lender that you choose to use. Just do a good job, work on those relationships and be respectful, and you'll be well rewarded for those behaviors.
And I think just calling out and recognizing just the little things. We tend to, on both sides of the fence, we tend to focus, the squeaky wheel when things aren't right and calling out what didn't happen. But the reality is, through our industry, brokers wouldn't be 80% of the market. Lenders, are delivering most of the time, and so just taking the time to call out those things both ways. When a broker, the example I gave earlier, just put together a brilliant package, or when a lending team actually nails a deal, just give that quick recognition.
Yeah, it sails through. I think there's a bit of a shift. 40% of brokers are still single operators or categorized as single operators by the MFAA. So it's a big chunk of the industry. I believe that's getting smaller. Running a business is tough, Tony. You go and you do your certificate 4, and the next thing you join an aggregator and you're getting these accreditations, and then you're running your own company. You're doing all the marketing. You're trying to build relationships, referrals, deal with customers, make money, pay overheads. It's really, really tough. And so if you're in that environment now and you're finding it tough, there's options out there for you to go and work with a brokerage that can surround you with those things. Sometimes big families are great families. But if not, and you want to stay the single operator, that's probably okay too. But what I would urge you to do is write down and reflect on a regular basis about the things that are important to you. So what your activities are to generate business, what marketing activities you're doing, but what relationships you have as well, and how you work on them on a weekly basis. Super important.
And as we as a lender view brokers as our key distribution and part of our team, I've always said that brokers should view lenders as a key part of their operation as well. And that's when those partnerships really flourish and they turn into really long-term success for both lenders and brokers.
Well, don't forget, and this has been really important as part of my growth journey and growing companies. I love growing businesses. And what I knew very early on is that I can go out and meet with 20 people, and that's great, and try and recruit them to my business and grow it that way. Or I can go and meet 20 BDMs with lenders that are meeting with 20 people per week, and you do the maths on that. That's 400 reach. And so by working smarter, not harder, helped me grow these companies. With your brokerage, you want to grow it. You want to grow clients, probably profitability, or get more time back, or whatever's in your goal plan. You should be engaging and forming relationships with these BDMs, because the problems in your business, they're seeing 20 other brokerages that might have solved those problems. So BDMs are a great resource for brokers to grow their business. And so you should nurture that. Be curious with them, ask them a lot of questions, and they're not going to answer you unless there's respect, like, trust,
Absolutely. I love it when brokers invite me out to their business, not to talk about specifics of Bluestone, but actually talk about what are you seeing in the market? Hey, we've got this problem. How are you seeing others deal that? And if we come back to my earlier point, if we view ourselves as a community and therefore we lean on each other, we can get so much better results and really flourish.
Mate, I love the way you tied that back to community. Absolutely. This industry, and we've heard it for decades, it's a huge industry, but it's really quite small. Everybody knows each other. Everybody helps each other. Everybody's willing to help, and my guys know that you need me, I'm there. I'll go to war with you if it's the right thing to do. You need me, I'll respond to that. And most people in the industry are like that. They're so giving with their time and information. I deal with people from all walks of life, and I say to them, call me anytime. Any question you've got about anything, if I know the answer, I'll give it to you. And if not, I'll try and help you find it.
Blake, it's clear that building and strengthening partnerships isn't just about doing more and better transactions. It's about setting yourselves up for long-term success. We've run out of time again. It's absolutely fabulous to have you here and to get your insights. So thanks very much. I know our listeners love hearing from you.
Good.
So thanks again for tuning in. Please don't forget to subscribe, join our Bluestone community for more insights and updates, and we'll catch you on the next episode. That's a wrap of this episode of It's a Broker Thing, brought to you by Bluestone Home Loans. We love sharing ideas that help you stay ahead, because backing brokers, well, it's a Bluestone thing. Hit subscribe and join us next time for more insights and stories that keep you in the know. This podcast is for general education only and isn't financial, legal or tax advice. Guest views are their own. Bluestone accepts no liability for errors or how you use this information.